Good morning, my lovely students of Grade 3. Today we're going to take a new lesson with a new story and new vocabulary lesson. So first, you need to start by opening your books, page 471, lesson 13, Yonder Mountain, a Cherokee Legend. So while we're going to start reading, I need you to read with me with your eyes. Use your pointing fingers as we're used to follow me for word by word. So first, we're going to look for the essential question that we should be looking for while reading the story. Why are stories from different cultures important? So in this one, we're going to know that why we need to know stories from different cultures. Also, you need to remember something that it's very important, that this story will be covering the target skill of compare and contrast. So while we're reading, we will be looking for how we're going to apply this target skill on our story. So let's start reading. Chef Sky has grown too old to lead his people, and he's looking for someone to replace him. What is he looking for in a new chef? Find out by reading this Cherokee legend. Once in the land of the Cherokee people, there lived a beloved chef called Sky. Chef Sky had seen many summers and winters. He had led his people through long seasons of peace. He had seen their warriors go through great battles with enemies, but now his step was slow, and his hand trembled on the bow. He could no longer spot brothers deer among the trees. He was no longer able to lead his people. Let's turn the page. One day in the season of fallen leaves, the chef called 3 young men to him and said, "One of you will take my place and become chef and lead our people, but first I must put you to the test." Chef Sky turned slowly, looking into the distance. "Do you see yonder mountain?" The 3 young men followed the gaze of their chef, and saw a great mountain rising out of the mist in the distance. "Yes," they answered, "we see the mountain." Chef Sky pointed toward the highest peak. "I want you to go to the mountain top. Bring back me what you find there." So, the first new vocabulary that we're going to take for today is going to be peak. What's the meaning of peak that we can get from the sentence? Meaning of peak is the highest point and the toppest point of the mountain. Also, another usage for it, I can say that's the maximum on the highest level of something. Like when I say they climbed till the peak of Mount Everest. This means that they reached the top of Mount Everest. Or something else. When I say they make her very angry that she reached her peak. This means that she reached the maximum level of being angry, so she's so angry now. So the meaning of peak again one more time, it means the top of the mountain or the highest level of and the maximum level of something. Let's continue reading. The first young man, called Black Bear, quickly started up the side of the mountain. After the sun reached the middle of the day, Black Bear came to a wide place in the trail, where he stopped to rest. He leaned his head upon a rock, and his eyes grew heavy. Just as his eyes were closing, he caught sight of 1,000 lights twinkling in the sun. Black Bear sat up straight and saw stones of great beauty, lining on each side of the trail. They sparkled and glowed in the sun. Black Bear examined a stone carefully, turning it over and over in his hand and watching the sun dance on each surface. "If my people had these stones, they would never be hungry again," he said. "We could trade them for food and our lives would be better." So, the second word that we're going to have for today is going to be examined. What's the meaning of examine? Examine when there's something in front of me and I'm checking it. I'm looking for it. I'm flipping it on the sides. I'm opening and closing it to check what it's doing or what is this. So here in our story, the black bear saw a stone. So he kept examining it, looking for it, and checking it to know what it looks like and what it's doing. So another example, when I say that before I buy any car, I need to examine it. It means I need to look to see there's everything is okay, to check if there's something wrong or not. Let's go for another page. Black Bear gathered many sparkling stones and ran down to the mountain and back to his village. The people saw him coming and lined the path as he entered the village. The children pointed to the sparkling stones and said, "See the pretty stones Black Bear has found." Black Bear handed the stones to the chef Sky and said, "My chef, look what I've found. Beautiful stones. We can trade them for food and will never go hungry. We will be safe through many winters." The chef smiled fondly upon the young man and said, "You've done well, my son. You've done well. Let us now wait for the others." So the third word that we're going to have for today is going to be fondly. So fondly is that when you do something and you're showing emotions through it, when you're doing it with love or liking. Like here, the chef smiled fondly. It means that he was smiling in a loving way, showing that he loves the person that he's smiling to. Another example, when I say that a mother hugs her kids fondly to make them feel safe. So let's continue reading. The second young man, called Gray Wolf, climbed the mountain and went past the place of the sparkling stones. He climbed higher and higher. The trail became steep and rugged. Finally, he came to an open place where he rested beside the trail. He picked an herb, looking closely at its pointed leaves and long roots. "These are the healing plants of our medicine man," he said. "If my people have these herbs and roots, they will no longer be sick and suffer. We could be healed with these plants." Gray Wolf gathered of each of the plants and hurried down the mountains. So now, on this page, we have two other words. The first word is going to be steep. Steep means something that is rising or falling sharply. So it means that when we're going to the mountain, it's very near to be straight. So it's hard to go up or it's very easily to fall down. So it means it's becoming more sharp and more straight, rising or falling. The second one in this page is going to be rugged. Rugged, it means something that having a broken, rocky, or uneven surface. So it means that something that it's not stable or something that is not easy to move through. So here in our story, it means that the trail becomes steep and rugged. It means that they're not easy to walk on it or through it. Let's turn the page. The people saw him coming and lined the pathway. The children waved and elders said, "See all the herbs Gray Wolf has found. We will never be sick again." Gray Wolf ran to his chef and spread the plants before him. "Look, my chef, what I've found. We no longer need to suffer. I have found all kinds of herbs and we can be healed." The old chef smiled fondly on Gray Wolf and said, "You've done well, my son. You have done well now. Let's wait for Soaring Eagle, our last young man." They waited, days went by, and Soaring Eagle didn't return. Still the village waited. After 6 days, the people began to murmur, "Something must have happened to Soaring Eagle. Why wait any longer?" But Chef Sky said to his people, "We will wait one day longer." And so they waited. On the seventh day, as the sun cast its long shadow over the village, the people saw Soaring Eagle coming. He stumbled with bleeding feet. His clothes were ripped and torn. He held nothing in his hands. The people were quiet as Soaring Eagle fell. At the feet of his chef, Soaring Eagle spoke softly to the Chef Sky. "I went to the top of the mountain, my chef, but I bring back nothing in my hands. I passed a place where there were sparkling stones, but I remembered you said, 'Go to the top of the mountain.' I passed a place where all sorts of herbs grew, but I remembered your words. The path was rough, there was great cliffs and sharp rocks. I have nothing in my hands to show you, but I bring back a story from the top of the mountain." The people were quiet as Soaring Eagle fell at his feet of his chef. Soaring Eagle spoke softly to the chef. "I went to the top of the mountain, my chef, but I bring nothing. Oh, but I bring nothing in my hands." So, let's remember something here while we're reading this part. Here in the analyzing text, in the compare and contrast, how are the journeys of the three young men the same? How are they different? Compare and contrast how each man's action affect the story events. So if you can see here, we have three men with three different stories. Three of them have something in common, and the three of them has many different things. So while we're reading, we need to always compare. So if you find the first one, he found stones, so that's what he got. The second one, he found herbs, so that's what he got. The third one, he got nothing, and he found both, but he got nothing. So that's how they're different. Also, they're different that the first one, just the first thing that he saw, he got it out and he got back to the chef. The second man, he went further, and the first thing that he got it back and he went out to the chef. However, the third guy, he waited till the last end and he went to the peak of the mountain, just like the chef told him. So, that's how we're making compare and contrast in our story, or in any story that we read, is that we read the story and we try to find the things that are in common between the parts of the story and the things that they are different in the parts of the story. So let's complete reading. The old chef put his hands on the shoulder of the young man. "Tell us your story, my son." Soaring Eagle began. "As I stood on yonder mountain and looked across the valley and beyond the forest mountain, I saw a smoke signal. It was signal calling for help. The signal said, 'We are dying,' and then, 'Come and help us.'" Soaring Eagle rose to his feet. "Chef Sky," he pleaded, "we need to go to them quickly. They're in trouble." So another word that we're going to have for today is pleaded. So what's the meaning of pleaded? Pleaded is to ask something like in a begging way, to keep asking something very hard and someone strongly and emotionally. Like let's say when you pleading your parents to play on your video games or to play on your PlayStation and to stop doing homework or to stop studying. So this means that you're asking so much. So here, the Soaring Eagle rose to his feet. Chef Sky, he pleaded. So he's asking him very hard to have this thing and to serve them and to help them working. Let's complete reading. Chef Sky stood straight before his people and three young men, pausing for a time. He lifted his eyes to the mountains and watched the mist settle on the peaks. He then turned to his people and spoke. We need a leader who has climbed to the top of the mountain. We need one who has seen beyond the mountain to other people who are in need. So, the other two words, pausing. The first one, pausing means to stop for a while or while you're doing something to stop. Like, let's say, I'm talking right now and one of you are asking me a question. So, I will pause my talking, I will stop talking till you ask your question, then I will complete again. So, pause means to stop doing something. Like when I say, please pause this video that we're watching, I need to say something. So here, pause for a time, it means that they all stopped for a time. Then the second word is going to be mist. Mist is that when you find so much clouds in the sky and it has a little droplets of water, like water drops. So here they said that they watched the mist settle on the peaks. Most of the time when you look for mountains or things that are very high, they're breaching the clouds. So these clouds are kinda misty. It means they're kinda looks like they looks like it looks like as if it is parts of water in the sky. So the clouds are full of water. The people watched as Chef Sky carefully began to remove his robe. He turned to face Soaring Eagle. You, my son, shall wear the chef's robe, the beloved old leader declared. Chef Sky placed the robe over the torn clothing of the chosen young man. You shall be our next chef, Soaring Eagle. You will be our lead. You will lead our people and help those in need. Yes, you will be our chef and help us climb yonder mountain. So, if you check the box down there, there is a story message. What message does the author want readers to understand? So while you're reading the story, you need to check what is the message that the author wants you to reach, what he wants you information to get. So the information that the author needs you to get here is that you should always go for further. Don't just look at something simple and catch it, like the one who caught the stones or the one who got the herbs. The soaring eagle, he went to the maximum. He went far, like the chef asked him. And he also looked for helping others. So the message that we're supposed to know here that we always need to look forward. We always need to look for others. And that's the end of our story, dear students. So I hope that you got it well and you understood. Please read it carefully by yourself one more time and make sure that you understand all the vocabulary.